Hello, future managers. Welcome to Management 2012, Principles of Management. I'm Professor Morel. I'm excited to have you as part of our class. We are going to be going over week one's content today out of Exploring Management by Schermerhorn and Bachrach from the 6th edition. So we're going to go through chapter 1. If you don't have your textbook for this week, that's okay. You're going to have everything you need to succeed on quiz number 1 from these 2 lectures. I like to open every class with a verse. So this is 2 Peter 1:5-7. It says, "Make every effort to add to your faith knowledge, and to knowledge goodness, and to goodness self-control, and to self-control perseverance, and to perseverance godliness, and to godliness brotherly kindness, and to brotherly kindness love." I love this verse because it basically says, hey, we're never done. And honestly, just like becoming a manager and developing those management skills, our job is never done. There's always continual learning and growth to go. So we're going to talk about some of the traditional levels of management. I'm going to try to keep our lecture short and sweet, so I'm going to move things right along for us. I wish I had time to take questions and ask questions, but I don't want you guys sitting behind watching 1-hour lectures. So I'm going to try to keep these short and sweet and keep these moving right along for you. So if I go fast, you guys can go back, check something out if you want to. But that's kind of what I'm hoping to do, because I know how tough it is with remote learning, and so I want you guys to be successful. That's what it's all about for me. So I first discovered that I have a passion for management during business school in my MBA, and then I've had the opportunity to serve in a variety of managerial roles. I really would encourage each of you to go and look on the Meet My Professor. I made a video for you guys with my background. I think that would really be helpful for you guys going into the week 1 of this class. So I encourage you guys, go ahead and watch my background. It will help you understand a little bit more of things from my side and where I'm coming from. Okay, but basically, if you look at this verse, it says that we're never done. So as managers, we're always continuing, learning, and growing. So there's different levels of management, and I think it's important for you guys to recognize what that looks like. All right, so this is a slide. It's coming in a minute. That's right out of your textbook. Okay, so traditional management has kind of 3 main levels. All right, so we have top management. And so what I'm sharing with you is actually a traditional or 20th century style of management. And we're going to learn more about the history of management next week, but this is just kind of to get you going a little bit. So historically, when you look at like the hierarchy of an organization, the level of an organization, the leader of the organization is at the top. Those are top managers. Okay, so we're going to make a pyramid here. You guys can see this, right? I don't think so. Okay, we have this very top level here. Hope you guys can see that. Is the CEO. Those are the top managers of the organization. All right, and so those top managers have been doing management a long, long time, and so they've had the opportunity to kind of work up through the ranks. So they're the leaders of the organization. They're the ones who are responsible for shaping the mission of the organization, the vision, where the organization is going, and the values, what it is the organization is all about, what they're trying to achieve in business, in the world. And so those things are all shaped by top managers. The C-suite, we call it. By C-suite, we mean the corporate suite. So that could be the chief executive officer, operating officer, the CFO. All those are considered to be top managers. Second are, and again, I hope you guys can see this. And again, I'm just rewriting out what's on this chart here. The middle managers. Middle management is where I was at when I was at GE. Basically, that means you're in charge of a certain division of a business or a certain region of a business. You're in charge of a certain chunk of a business. So I've managed projects, I've managed aspects of global teams, I've done all those kinds of things. But I was at the middle manager level when I kind of said, hey, I really want to move into teaching and pursue what God has for me. So middle managers are in the middle. Now keep in mind, I want you guys to remember, we're going to talk about the skills needed for each level in a minute, but I just want to kind of talk through the different levels. And then your text has first line managers. I call them front line managers. You can call them whatever you want, but those would be your supervisors, team leaders. They're the ones who are in charge of people that are responsible for their work, and they're not responsible for really managing anyone. But those are your frontline workers. Okay, so those are the 3 main levels of management. Now my question to you, if you were all in classes, does the CEO, who are they responsible to? And I'm sure you guys would all be yelling, the board of directors, and you're 100% right. So everybody answers to somebody, and even the CEO being at the very, very top of the traditional pyramid, they still answer to the board of directors. And the board of directors, oftentimes if it's a publicly traded company, will answer to the stockholders. So that's kind of how the feeding chain works traditionally. Now keep in mind, this is traditional, guys. I really want to share with you what's going on in the 21st century of management, and now even more so with COVID, how this is really flipping things on its head. This is a traditional pyramid, okay? What we're seeing now is what we're calling the upside down pyramid. So keep in mind, CEO at the top, middle managers front line, same as you see in that slide. But let's flip this around. That's old school, 20th century. Here we are in the 21st century where we're seeing the upside down pyramid. What we're recognizing is that in the 20th century style of management, all the orders just trickle down. The CEO would say what to do, and all that would just trickle down until everyone at the bottom was just following commands. Now, if you're a customer and you're trying to get your needs satisfied as a customer, and you're trying to keep up with the marketplace, and you're working with the non-managerial workers at the bottom, how do you get communication to go from the bottom to those non-managerial workers up to the top, who is responsible for the mission, vision, values, direction of the organization, maybe the new products that are coming out the customers want? That's a major problem, okay? So we weren't traditionally valuing the bottom of the pyramid, and that's honestly where the customers are. The non-managerial workers are working with the customers, and so we had to find a way to change that. We had to find a way to make the customers matter more, and the people that are actually doing the physical labor matter more. So now the 21st century style of management is flipping that on its head, and we're doing the upside down pyramid. So at the top of the upside down pyramid is, and just flip that around, we're actually going to write customers. Customers are at the top of the upside down pyramid, all right? And after customers, what you guys are going to see, it's all the non-management workers, the worker bees. All right, so we have this pyramid here, and anything that wants to happen now is driven by the customers. The CEO is not driving the change, the customers are driving the change, because we recognize if we're going to keep up in business, the pace of change, and with globalization coming, there is more competition in the business world than ever before. So if we're not listening to our customers, we're not going to be able to compete in the marketplace. We're not going to be able to get ahead. So the customers are at the top, and then the non-management worker bees, they're supporting the customers. So then we have, and again, it's just flipping this around, your front or first line workers, managers. And you know what? They're not really managing. When we talk about managing the 21st century, what they're really doing are supporting and coaching these employees to make sure they have what they need, the skills, the experience, the help to be able to help the customers. So I want you to think about management here as being a support role. All right? They're not bossing them around. They're not pushing the orders down like in the traditional side. What they're doing is saying, hey, what do you need to be successful? All right? That's what we're seeing in 21st century style of management. And then from beyond this, we have again middle managers, and again, they're working in a support role. Anything that a frontline manager can't take care of, they're trying to make sure they have everything that they need. And then last is the CEO or the executives, and they're supporting the managers and making sure they have everything that they need. So right now we see this upside down pyramid. Everything is flipped on its head completely. And now managing in the era of COVID, we're having to figure out how do we do this remotely. What I think, honestly, I've been a big proponent for remote work for a long time. It's long overdue, but it's really exciting to kind of see how things are progressing with COVID, and now managers have to try to find a way to be active in their team's lives, support, encourage them, and help them to be successful from a distance at all these different levels. And so it just requires all the more intentional communication. Communication is a core skill of management. But before I get too ahead of myself, let's look a little bit more. Keep in mind we have these levels, and I'm going to try to share a little bit about some of the different kind of skills that are needed at each of those levels. Okay, so I'm actually going to start at the bottom of this list. So you guys see here, these are technical skills. That's the ability to apply expertise and perform a special task with proficiency. So technical skills are basically, so when I worked at GE, I worked in the supply chain, and we had a bunch of buyers. The buyers would work directly with the suppliers for all the different parts and products that we need to put together steam turbines and generators. Again, I talk about this, and I think I show you a picture or two in my overview, so make sure you check that out. But we had frontline managers to make sure that they had support for all of the different buyers that were out there buying things. Most of the people that were these frontline managers had technical skills. When I mean that, I'll say they had been in this role already. They had supported a lot of these suppliers, they had done a lot of the buyers' jobs, and now they're ready to move on to that supervisory role because they have been there, done that. They have all the tools to be able to accurately support those worker bees. So that was the frontline managers of buyers that I worked with at GE. From there, we have middle managers. Middle managers have usually spent some time as a frontline manager. They have those technical skills. And then they also are starting to utilize more human skills, all right? By human skills, I mean emotional intelligence, all right? Can they manage relationships effectively? So one of the interesting things about when you're a middle manager that is interesting is which relationships do you guys think are the most important when you are working with the human skill side of things? If you're a middle manager, what do you think is most important? With your boss, the CEO, or maybe with your workers, the frontline managers? But then keep in mind, this is just operating a silo. You might have some peers, another middle manager over here, and another one over here. And they're kind of get where you're at. Maybe I'm in charge of supply chain. I have a colleague that's in charge of sales over here, another that's in charge of engineering. We're all middle managers. Which one of those relationships is the most important? And that's what I would kind of how you think about where human skills and that emotional intelligence is important. You know what I would tell you? The most important relationships and the most important communication that you're going to have is going to be here. With your frontline or first line managers, with your team. Because believe it or not, the people that work for you are actually going to be the ones that are going to drive and steer your career success. Now guys, I would absolutely love for all of you guys to become executives. Don't get me wrong. I think all of you would be amazing executives, and the sky's the limit for each and every one of you. I am 100% convinced, and I cannot wait to get to know you guys more. But with that, I recognize not everybody wants that kind of role or responsibility. You're going to say, Professor Morrell, you're calling me a future manager. I don't want to be a manager. Well, you know what? I hate to break it to you, but you already are a manager. You're a manager of yourself. And so that's one reason why you're in school, is so that you can figure out the best way to manage yourself effectively, to learn and to grow, and to figure out how do you get those skills together so that you can be successful in the work world. And that's my job, is to help prepare you to be successful. So I know you guys all just like, hey, I want to get an A in this class. Believe me, I want to give you all A's, but even more so than that, I want to see you be successful in the work world. And my job is to prepare you for that. And so these human skills are what we're really going to work on this semester, managing ourselves and our relationships effectively. So again, I would argue, if your team is successful, that's really going to drive and dictate your entire career. So I would say, first, if we're going to rank it, your frontline managers, your team that works for you, are going to dictate your success. Okay. Second should always be your boss. Got to keep your boss happy, right? So that should be your second if we're prioritizing our relationships. And then third should be your peers, your other middle managers. I'm not saying they're not important. I'm just saying focus on taking care of your team. If you're going to be successful, make your team successful. Invest in them, mentor them, coach them, grow them, support them, as in this upside down pyramid. That's what's really going to help you. Okay. All right, so going back to this, the very last is conceptual skills. When I say conceptual skills, I want to say your big picture problem solving. I would call that like your 5,000 feet level. So technical skills are kind of down in the weeds. I can fix this problem or that problem. And a lot of times CEOs have worked their way up the ranks. So they have those technical skills. They have those human skills. But now can I think of the big picture? Can I look outward, outside the organization and say, hey, this is where we're going as an organization, or this is where the market is going, or the environment is going, and this is how we're going to figure out how to be successful in this environment. And so they can shape and guide the organization accordingly. All right, but it's having that big picture, being able to solve big problems as you do when you're trying to move big corporations. I work for GE, we had around 250,000 employees globally. Can you imagine the conceptual skills to be able to shape and mold that? It was a lot, but very, very impressive. All right, I'm going to wrap this up pretty soon, guys, but I'm going to close off by just talking through some of the management skills that are really, really essential for success. And then make sure you pick up with the second video. We're going to talk about Polk and SWOT. All right, but first is teamwork. I told you guys, it's if you're leading a team or if you're on a team, is how to be effective, how to make a strong contribution to your team. And we're also going to look at the difference between management and leadership this semester, being able to be an internal leader, being able to manage conflict as it comes up, being able to build consensus. So we're actually going to talk about teamwork, I think in week 3 a little bit more in depth, but that's a must-have managerial skill. So we're going to work on developing that. We have a couple of really cool group assignments this semester. You guys are going to be great at it. I already kind of mentioned self-management to you guys, but make sure you can evaluate yourself, and you're actually going to do that with your SWOT this week. And then once you figure out kind of where you're at, modify your behavior, meet your obligations, and then be able to be flexible. And I will also say, being someone that's came from the working world, I'm not an academic by trade, guys. I'm a practitioner, so I'm a manager. Having a tolerance for ambiguity is one of the most important skills that an employer wants. The world right now, with globalization and especially in light of COVID, we don't know what's coming tomorrow, let alone what's coming, a year from now. So you have to be able to be tolerant of ambiguity and be flexible and adaptable to be able to change and still meet your performance obligations. Leadership. So leadership and management are a little bit different. I'll just say for now, leadership is different than management in that, it's hard to sum it up, guys, but I would say in a couple of different things. Management is doing things right. We're going to talk through all the different kind of traits and skills of management, doing things right. But leadership is taking a step back and saying, are we doing the right things? And that's kind of the questioning side of it. All right, so we're going to talk about leadership. Management is very much a head issue. Leadership is about the heart. Okay, so we're going to talk about leadership this semester. Critical thinking, what you need for problem solving, that tolerance for ambiguity and being able to solve problems in the midst of it is important. Professionalism, you always want to be positive, and you not only want to be positive as a manager, if you're trying to coach your team to be successful, you need to be confident that they're going to be successful. Okay, so if you're confident, you need to be able to have so much confidence you can exude it saying, I know you are going to rock this. We are going to blow our presentation next week out of the water. You're instilling confidence of others, all right? That professionalism, all right? And then also being able to manage your own career. Make sure that you're taking the steps you need to take your career where you want it to go. And then last, communication. We're going to work on a variety of communication this semester. Written communication, oral communication, and interpersonal communication. Why? I'm trying to prepare you guys to be future managers. Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you for your attention. Go ahead and check out the next video on SWOT and Polk. Thank you for your attention.